All right, welcome to another episode of The Rundown. We got Seattle and Arizona playing tonight on Thursday Night Football. And before I talk about that game, I just want to commend Seattle for their performance against the New Orleans Saints. They blew them out 44-13, and it felt good to watch Seattle blow out a team rather than them getting blown out or them playing a close game. So it was good to see the tides turn a little bit. We played well on offense, defense, and special teams, and it looked like Georgia playing against a community college team. It didn't look like Seattle and New Orleans were on the same stratosphere. But tonight, we're going to have a tougher matchup against Arizona. Arizona definitely has some injuries. James Conner is going to be out. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. Zay Jones, their wide receiver, is going to be out. Evan Brown, their left guard, is questionable. Who knows if he's going to play? But even with their injuries, it's still going to be a tough matchup because A, it's a division rivalry game, and B, this team under Jonathan Gannon just plays hard, even if they don't have a lot of talent. And that's something that I've noticed ever since he's been coaching this team. And they've just won games where I'm like, how the hell did you win that game? But that's because he instills a culture of toughness. And kudos to him, kind of what Dan Campbell did in Detroit when he first arrived on the scene. Um, this will be a good test for Seattle's defense. They're number one in DVOA. Arizona isn't world beaters by any means, but Kyler Murray is a very good quarterback. He's athletic. He can run around. He can make plays happen. Unfortunately for him, he just doesn't have a lot of talent when it comes to weapons. I mean, Trey McBride, the tight end, he is good, but Marvin Harrison Jr., he's kind of underperformed ever since he's gotten drafted. He has like a 53.4% catch rate. He averages 2 yards of separation per catch, in his rookie year. He had that crucial drop against San Francisco in the third quarter. Uh, it's looking rough for him so far, and I hope the best for him because he seemed pretty emotional after the game, him talking about he wasn't doing his part to help the team, and I hope that he's able to turn things around. He seems like he's got the yips, but I don't know. It's not looking good for him right now, and he's trending towards a bust. But I hope that this year he can just turn it around. I mean, for wide receivers, usually when they have the yips when it comes to drops, it's very, very hard for them to fix that. And I hope that he's really, really able to fix that because if not, he's going to go down as a bust, and it's going to be worse for him because he's the son of an NFL Hall of Famer. And when you're the son of an NFL Hall of Famer or just any athlete and you want to participate in the sport that your dad played in, unfortunately, it's tough. You get held to a higher standard, and it's worse for Marvin Harrison Jr. because he was such a highly touted prospect. So, hope things can turn around for him. But Kyler, again, not a lot of talent. Michael Wilson at right receiver isn't exactly killing it either. So, he has that held against him. But for Seattle's defense, it will be good to see if they can kind of just shut off their water, Arizona's, in the passing game. Devin Witherspoon and Julian Love, they're going to play. So let's see if they can hold Arizona's passing game to under 200 yards. And if they're able to do that, I think that'll like really, really show that they really are a good defensive team. And offensively for Seattle, it looks like Zach Charbonnet, he's going to play. I'm sure that Seattle is going to continue to run the ball, but I hope that, like kind of like they did last game against New Orleans, they just let Darnold air it out. I mean, he's been pretty good these past 2 weeks. Last game, he only had 18 pass attempts, but that's because they were whooping not Arizona, New Orleans ass. And even on 18 pass attempts, he still had more than 200 passing yards. So I hope that they continue to let Darnold air it out, and hopefully we can run the ball really, really good, especially with Charbonnet coming back and Kenneth Walker having a little less load. So I got Seattle winning tonight 24-14. I think it might be a close game, for like the first 3 quarters or so, but I think that in the fourth quarter they'll be able to pull away. These division games are always a little weird, and even with Arizona not having a lot of talent, it's just, they're still tough. So I think Seattle will be able to pull this one out, and they'll be able to like continue the success they've had the past couple weeks. Now I want to talk about another team in the division, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. Nick Bosa, not apparently, he has torn his right ACL, and that guy just cannot catch a break. He partially tore his right ACL his senior year of high school, and he also tore his left ACL in the 2020 season. So he's just been bitten by bad luck with injuries, and San Francisco has also had bad luck with injuries. I just don't understand how they get injured so much. I mean, there's just something wrong in the water there. I mean, George Kittle, he has the hamstring thing. Brock Purdy has had shoulder and toe issues. Pearsall has knee soreness, but he says that he'll play. Even Mac Jones is having issues. Jawan Jennings is having issues. And this has been something that's been going on for quite some time. In 2020, the year after they made it to the Super Bowl against Kansas City the first time around, they were just decimated with injuries that year also. And last year, they also had like quite a bit of injuries with McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams, and a couple of other players. And I don't know if it's because the type of offense that Kyle Shanahan likes to run, which is why his players tend to have these type of injuries, or it's just the medical staff for the 49ers. Now, they haven't really revamped their medical staff all that much since the 2019 season. And based on what Kyle Shanahan has said, he seems to think that injuries are just this random things and it's just, the name of the game. But I don't know, man. It's just happening way too much for me to be like, it's just random. There's just clearly something going wrong. And if I had to guess, I know that Kyle Shanahan likes to run a real physical type of play. I just think that it's the medical staff. And I mean, something has to change because this just can't keep happening. And for it to happen multiple times year after year, it's not good for your team and you're just wasting years as a coach. And I mean, I think you should try to maximize your players' health so that you can have the best chance to win. So they got to do a deep dive and understand why these players are having all these injuries and, try and get a new medical staff and see if they can make things better. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs, they've been to 7 straight AFC Championship games. They've been to 3 straight Super Bowls, and I mean, they've been bitten a little bit by injuries, but I mean, they haven't had injuries this bad like the 49ers do for some reason. And the 49ers last year didn't even make the playoffs, and they're still getting bitten by injuries. So it's just unfortunate. Hope something changes. But going back to them, John Lynch says they're looking at the trade market to see if, they can kind of sort of find a replacement for Bosa. I don't know what the heck they're going to get. But the 49ers, even though they do kind of have a Mickey Mouse schedule, their next 3 games are kind of hard. They got the Jaguars, they got the Rams, they got the Bucks. And Ian Rappaport says that there's a good chance that Brock Purdy is going to come back this Sunday, which is good. But these next 3 games aren't exactly going to be easy. Now, luckily, the 49ers have started out 3-0 because they've had a cupcake schedule, but those next 3 games aren't exactly against bad teams, and the Rams and Bucks, that's going to be the hardest in their schedule. Ideally, they should be able to go 2-1 during that span, but even if they go 1-2, I think they should be okay. That'll get them to 4-2, and even if they do go 1-2, I think that they have a pretty good shot still of winning that division. And hopefully, over the next 3 weeks, they'll be able to be more healthier, because after that, they got some easy games. They got the Falcons, they got the Giants, they got the Browns, they got the Texans. Now, I know the Browns and Texans have a really, really good defense, but offensively, it just seems that those teams don't have it, and Atlanta seems to be reeling a little bit. I'll talk more about that later, but those games should be highly winnable, and George Kittle should be able to come back. Brock should be more healthier and everything. So if they can just get those key pieces back, they should be pretty good in the long run. But just based on how things have gone in San Francisco, for some reason or the other, they just get bitten by the injury bug. But I hope that doesn't happen this time around. Now I want to talk about Green Bay. They're going to face off against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, and Green Bay's dreams of going undefeated, that ended real quick. Rasheed Walker, talk about putting your foot in your mouth. They lost 13-10 to Cleveland on a last-second field goal, and they were up 10-3 with like 3 minutes left in the game. But Jordan Love, he just threw an awful interception that allowed Cleveland to get back in the game. Cleveland's defense is good, but I thought Green Bay had a really, really good offense, and I thought that they would be able to take care of Cleveland. But, that's the NFL. Sometimes weird, random things happen. And even though Cleveland has like a terrible offense, they have a good enough defense that they were able to limit Green Bay offensively. But I think against Dallas, they'll be better. Micah is going back to his stomping grounds. I'm sure that he's going to be really, really motivated going against his former team after, they traded him because they wouldn't give him the salary that he wanted, and he feels that he kind of got slighted a little bit. I think Jordan Love is going to sling that thing, and he's going to have a big day because Dallas's defense and their secondary is pretty awful. And with the litany of wide receivers Green Bay has, I'm sure that they'll be fine. And plus, Dallas lost CeeDee Lamb. He's not going to play, so they're kind of screwed. So I think this will be a good bounce back game for Green Bay, and I'm sure that they'll blow the doors off Dallas and everything. And I have a feeling they're going to win by like 15, 16 points. Who knows? Maybe even 20 points, because Jordan Love, even when Dallas was good defensively, when they had Dan Quinn as their defensive coordinator and Dallas was the second seed, I mean, Green Bay blew the doors off Dallas. So I don't know. It's kind of like how Aaron Rodgers owned the Bears. And I know that Dallas isn't in their division, but who knows? Jordan Love might just own the Cowboys. And Aaron Rodgers also played really, really well against the Cowboys. So who knows? It looks like that tradition is going to continue. Dallas just doesn't have the horses offensively or defensively. And I'm sure this will be a get-right game for Green Bay. Now I want to talk about the Atlanta Falcons and Michael Penix. They got their doors blown out against the Carolina Panthers. They lost 30-0, and that's crazy. I mean, I understand that these division games are weird, but losing 30-0 against Carolina is just awful. And it's not that you just lost, you got the doors blown off and you just couldn't do anything. And Carolina is a pretty awful team, and the fact you couldn't do anything against them was crazy. I mean, that's still a game that you have to win, especially when you're trying to like contend for the division with Tampa Bay. I don't think they're going to lose to Carolina. That I may look like a fool later in the season if they lose to Carolina, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. But it really looks like Atlanta is panicking. They fired their wide receiver coach. I don't know exactly what that's going to do for them. Maybe there was just an internal conflict that I don't know about. But yeah, they got rid of him. They're bringing Zac Robinson, their offensive coordinator, down from the booth to the sideline. Again, I don't know if that's going to help or not. I mean, some offensive coordinators like to stay on the field. Some offensive coordinators like to be in the booth. But it just feels that they're just trying to mix things up to see if something can work. And I don't know if those two moves are going to really help the Atlanta Falcons. There's also concerns about Michael Penix. I mean, he was awful against Carolina. He was 18 for 36. Just did not seem comfortable whatsoever against a Carolina defense, which isn't really all that good. And I understand that there's concern about him. I'm not like fully panicking on him yet. I mean, it is a bit weird that he hasn't been in a team that scored over 7 points. But I mean, if Younghoe Koo makes that field goal at the last second against Tampa Bay in the season opener, they're 2-1, and unfortunately he couldn't. They benched him, and then they eventually cut him. So I mean, that kind of sucks for Michael Penix, but he's only played 6 games. It takes certain players time to develop, and I mean, ideally you would have wished that he would have came into the season ready to roll, especially since he played a little bit last year, and you'd think that he would get more acclimated to everything. But it looks like that this is going to be another developmental year. I mean, I'm sure that Raheem Morris and the general manager told Arthur Blank, the owner, that they would be a playoff contender and that they would be able to win the division at the very least. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It looks like Michael Penix just needs more time to develop. And it is unfortunate because they do have some good weapons. I mean, they got Drake London, they got Ray McLeod, they got Kyle Pitts, who's decent. They got Bijan Robinson, the running back. So ideally, you would have wished to make the playoffs. And if you make the playoffs, at least for Raheem Morris, um, you save your job. That's for sure. But if they keep losing these games, I don't know how long that man is going to be able to have his job. I mean, Arthur Blank is a pretty good owner, and he's not a guy like David Tepper, who's the owner of the Panthers, who likes to fire people willy nilly. But I mean, if Michael Penix doesn't look good in these next 3-4 games, it's going to be really, really, really concerning. And they got Washington, Buffalo, and San Francisco. Their next 3 games, Atlanta does, and you gotta at least get one win. I know that those are 3 good teams, and those 3 teams are absolutely gonna make the playoffs. But I mean, you gotta get at least one win, and Michael Penix has to show something, and he has to show some flashes of greatness. If he looks bad against those teams like he did against Carolina, I know this is crazy to say, but they might have to start Kirk Cousins. And if you do start Kirk Cousins, there's no going back after that because you paid Kirk Cousins $180 million. You decided to bench him. And then if you flip flop and go back between Cousins and Penix, it's just going to screw up the quarterback development even more. And I know Carolina did it with Bryce Young where they benched him for a bit for Andy Dalton and then they started him. But I mean, they did not have that much invested in Andy Dalton. But in Kirk, they paid him $180 million. And it's going to look bad, at least for Arthur Blank. I know I said he was one of the better owners in the league, but if you just have management who's invested almost $200 million in a quarterback, you picked a quarterback in the top 10, and none of those things are working, that's going to look really, really bad. And it's not going to look good for Raheem Morris or the general manager. So I think these next 3 weeks are going to be a test for Michael Penix. He just has to show flashes. At this point, honestly, I'm resigned. I don't know how ownership feels. I'm resigned to them, like, winning the division. I just think you should look for flashes and just hope that Michael Penix has a good arc. I think that's all you can hope for. As long as he doesn't look terrible, I think you should continue to start him, let him take his lumps, and just hope that he gets better throughout the season and just hope that you have a franchise quarterback for the next 10 years. That's all you should hope for this season. But I don't think the coaching staff is thinking that way. They're probably thinking we need to win. So I hope they don't pull the plug on him just because he has like one bad game or the other. This isn't a Russell Wilson situation where he's an aging quarterback and you have like a guy waiting in the wings. Michael Penix is a young guy, so I think they should just give him time to develop. So I hope they do that. I mean, some of these teams, they just ruin quarterbacks, and I hope that they don't do that with Michael Penix. I want to talk one NBA topic before I head out of here. Fred VanVleet, he tore his ACL. He's going to be out for the next season, and that's a big, big blow to the Houston Rockets. I initially had them in like that tier 1 contender behind Denver and OKC, but this is a big, big blow. I mean, other than Fred VanVleet, you just don't have a lot of like point guards on that team or like other capable ball handlers on that team. And, as we've seen through these NBA playoffs, having a point guard matters. Even if it's an okay point guard, you just need somebody that's able to be like somewhat of a floor general and just calm things down. Like if you look at Minnesota, I know that Conley is getting long in the tooth and he's gotten really, really old, but nonetheless, he's still able to just calm things down and just be a floor general. And I'm sure that's helped Anthony Edwards a ton. Instead of having to put that Anthony Edwards played, you have Mike Conley being able to take control of things. I mean, you saw that with Indiana, them having a star point guard. OKC, you can argue they don't have like a point guard to calm things down, but they still have really good ball handlers in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams. And I mean, we saw how not having a point guard in Phoenix when Kevin Durant was there with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker and how that looked, and Devin Booker taking a lot of the ball handling responsibilities. That didn't work. Now, they did try to get Tyus Jones. Now, that didn't work either, but still, nonetheless, you need a point guard to just be able to just calm things down. You don't want to put that on the plate of Kevin Durant. Alfred Şengün can't do that. Amin Thompson, I don't think he's quite ready to take that next step quite yet. So I guess that means they're probably gonna have to give Reed Sheppard a little bit more touches. I mean, they did draft him with the third overall pick, but that guy did not play that much. Uh, Last year, he only played 51 games, really didn't get any run in the playoffs, and I'm just skeptical of giving him more touches because it's hard to play point guard. And like, I think Ryan Rosillo said, like, he was talking to an executive and he said, like, with these point guards, you got to give them time like you do an NFL quarterback, because you're just like, a floor general. You have the ball in your hands for the most part, and you're the one that has to make decisions, especially if you're the primary scorer also. And with Reed Sheppard, even though he's not going to be getting a lot of shots with Kevin Durant, Amin Thompson, and Alfred Şengün, I mean, he still is going to have ball handling duties, and he's still going to play against like the other point guards in the NBA who are really, really good. So to have someone do that in their second year, especially when they didn't get run in their first year, that's going to be tough. He can't really afford to make mistakes because this is a good team, which is why he didn't play a lot last year, because they just couldn't afford someone to just go through their growing pains, because they were looking to win, and they're going to be looking to win extra hard now that they got Kevin Durant. So I think they're probably going to have to make a trade to see if they can get another decent ball handler that can just take control of things. I mean, we saw in the playoffs also, like Lou Dort and Andrew Nemhard just hounding ball handlers on the opposing teams. And for Houston, they're going to need that, because like I said before, I don't think anyone else on the roster is really capable of doing that, like, bringing the ball up the floor, like, for the vast majority of the possessions. And because of that, I think I'm going to put the Lakers ahead of them in, like, my title, or at least coming out the West. And I think Houston, this is just a big, big blow to them. I'm sure that they'll still win 50 plus games. They'll still have an exceptional defense, but the playoff, things get more physical, and losing a guy like VanVleet who can hit open shots and who can bring the ball up the floor and can make good decisions, that's going to come back to bite them one way or the other, whether it's against Denver or OKC or perhaps even the Los Angeles Lakers. So we'll see what Rafael Stone, the general manager, does, and if he can perhaps make some type of trade where, they're able to just bring in an additional ball handler who can be a starter for them and just, be a general for that team. And yeah, that's about all I have for you guys today. I will be back next week to break down the games on Sunday and other things going around the NFL. Thank you so much for listening, and please subscribe. Thank you.